Welcome back, everyone. This is the Rodeo Joe Show. It's been a while since I've put a video out here on here for you guys. Obviously, there's been some things I've upgraded to the overall production, but just just for those that have followed and or those that are new to it, I look for I look to do kind of a but I also am looking to make it kind of more broad as far as the topics I cover in sports and not just kind of limit it to the NFL. As far as the NFL goes, I still want to kind of have more of a heavy basis on AFC North football. It probably won't be as in depth as it was before. Just kind of, this is just kind of the direction I want to go with it. And if you guys have any questions or there's anything that you would suggest that I could do, that you would like to hear, that you'd like to see, just you guys know, just feel free to just reach out to me and get working on trying to make the best production I can for each and every one, as best as I can. Let's just get right into the college football playoff here. You got LSU at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Clemson number 3, and Oklahoma at number 4. It was kind of surprising to really see Ohio State, how they really looked at their resume all season, and that's what kind of boosted them ahead of LSU. But to see them just fall, and I get it. I mean, they didn't perform as well as what LSU did, and they love these SEC schools. It's just the reality of it. There's no way to get around it. They do. They still feel like it's 2007. But and then they look at Ohio State struggling, and I really, you can say what you want. A lot of people are now jumping off the wagon. I think Joel Klatt, for the most part, is kind of still there and still really feels like Ohio State is the most complete team. But outside of that, I just see a lot of people coming out and saying our pass defense is just bad and terrible because of what Michigan was able to do. And, obviously what Wisconsin was able to do in the first half of that ball game. But, a lot of things that people are failing to realize is, one, it's hard to beat the same team twice in the same season, and this is our second. This is Ohio State's second look at Wisconsin. So take it for what it is. I feel like you're going to rank them as the 8th best team in the country, and then you expect Ohio State to still win by 50. I don't know. I just think that they look at it. They look at LSU beating Georgia. And Georgia was 4. They're number 1. They've won very convincingly, which I'm not sold on Georgia anyway. I don't think that they're as great as what people think they are. And we'll just see how well they do, facing another Big 12 team. They got to play Baylor, so we'll see. We'll see what they're about. Should make for a good game. One thing I will say about this upcoming playoff that we have is that, I don't think there was any other way. This was kind of put in a position to where they didn't have an opportunity to screw it up. They didn't have an opportunity to put the wrong team in, which was nice that Oklahoma was able to win. Obviously, LSU was able to beat Georgia. And Utah losing, on Friday made it, that much easier. So I think we're pretty convinced that these are the 4 best teams in the country. And that makes for good football. It's been a while since we've had that. There's no controversy over who should get in, and that's great. That's what we need. That's why you have the people that want to jump on board with this whole 6, 8, 12 player playoff. That's just absurd to me, is because to avoid those things happening. But we got it right this year. We got it right. As far as the matchups go, I mean, I just think that I think a lot of it too on the committee. I don't know really how they. I don't really know if it's something that they really look at, but everybody wants to see the Ohio State LSU matchup, and there was no way to not get it until obviously the national championship game, if that is what happens. But I mean, I don't think you really could, despite my feelings kind of towards the overall ranking. I think that Ohio State, like I don't see why they dropped. I mean, I do, but I don't. I don't see how you can put them at number one over LSU based on their resume, and then just because of one game where LSU performed a little bit better than Ohio State did, they jump them based on the fact that Ohio State just beat three top 12 teams in a row. It's just my opinion. But as far as the matchups go, LSU and Oklahoma, I think that's a better game than Ohio State in them. I just think both of those teams kind of are having the same storyline, after their recent conference championships. Teams that were looked at as, very explosive offensively and pretty bad defensively are now coming off of some pretty stout defensive performances, you could say. And so, they kind of both, like I said, come in looking like, they're pretty equal in what they have. I mean, LSU, obviously, I think will get the nod and win. I don't think Oklahoma can keep up with them. I don't think they faced an offense as good as LSU. I don't think LSU has faced an offense as good as Oklahoma's either. So it could be a lot closer than what you think, but I got to give the slight edge to LSU because I think I would take Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts right now because he's just been playing out of his mind. Easily the best player in the country. He'll win the Heisman Trophy. And that's all you can really say about that. I just think that they're just they're better defensively in the secondary. Oklahoma is kind of decent in as far as their linebackers go. They get somewhat of a pass rush, but I like the speed on both sides of the ball with LSU. So I think they'll win and they'll move on to the championship game, as many people figure. Then you look at this matchup to me with Ohio State and Clemson, which oddly enough Clemson's two. I think I saw they were 2 or a 1.5 point favorite in that game, which is strange. I don't get that, but it's the first time all season that Ohio State opens up a game as the underdog. And really, I just look at this team or both these teams. They're extremely balanced, very well coached. They have they're great defensively. They're the two best defensive teams in this playoff, without a doubt. Even if you would have thrown Utah in, if Utah were to win against Oregon, they still would be the two best defensive teams in this playoff. But this just, to me, it doesn't seem like the same Ohio State Clemson matchup where we've seen Clemson, beat them 30-0. I think it was, or 30-3. And then, Michigan State getting throttled the following year, and we haven't seen a Big Ten team in the playoffs since then. But, I think this is going to be a very, very good game. It could possibly be the best game in the whole playoff in general, even outside of the national championship game. Because I think it would be very interesting either team, say, plays LSU, because I really don't see Oklahoma getting out of it. They haven't made it past the first round of the playoff. They're, the whole time since the inception of the college football playoff. Played tough, but just not good enough to get through to the national championship game. But yeah, I look at Clemson and Ohio State. I'm not going to sit there and say that Clemson isn't playing great because they are. I mean, they're playing really well. They're playing against some pretty subpar competition. I mean, Wisconsin is leaps and bounds far, far better than what Virginia is. And, I mean, the ACC is just as, maybe next, it's probably the weakest conference, out of the Power Five. And I don't think there's any doubt of that. But this game just kind of feels like the 2014 playoff where Ohio State played Alabama, and Ohio State came into that game. I mean, obviously different circumstances, being the 4th seed, Alabama being number 1, and they played in probably what was the best game of that playoff, and then went in and played Oregon, and it wasn't even close to as good as what the Alabama Ohio State matchup was. I kind of see that. I mean, I think that there's going to be let's say that Ohio State does make it past and ends up playing against LSU. There's obviously going to be the Joe Burrow drama there. There's going to be a headline. It makes for an interesting story, which I think that's what makes it so compelling and why everybody wants to see it. But I mean, I just think that these two teams, the Clemson and Ohio State, are just so balanced offensively and defensively that it'll make for a very, very compelling, close game. It's going to be a game where, the team that makes the fewest mistakes, and by mistakes I don't mean just turnovers specifically, bad holding call, just different breaks that can happen for the team. The team that wins the game is going to have to play their best football they've played the entire year in order to have a chance to win. And I really look forward to both. I really look forward to that game. The LSU game will be interesting as well. Just not really my kind of football. I'm not really about scoring 50, 40 points a game. That's just not me. I don't like to see it aired out. I like to see a little bit of adversity. I don't like seeing bad offense. I like seeing good defense. So there is a difference there. With that being said, yeah, I like Alabama Alabama. I think old Nicky wishes they were in there, but no, not this year. But I like LSU in that game, and I like Ohio State winning, and those two meeting each other in the national championship. As far as the other bowls go, I plan on as we get closer to some of these other bowls, I'll talk a little bit more in depth. If it's a good bowl, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the Tony the Tiger Bowl or the Cheez-It Bowl or anything like that, but which I believe are two actual bowls, believe it or not. So I know the Tony the Tiger one is for a fact. But yeah, there are a couple compelling, most notably Michigan and Alabama. That's one I think a lot of Michigan fans and I think a lot of people in general looked at that and was like, okay. It's not really the best draw. I think a lot of Michigan people were thinking that USC was going to be who they were going to get. But, I mean, I think this could be a good game. I mean, I really do. But we'll just kind of have to just see how that plays out. But that's going to be something later on. I just feel like the biggest headline, obviously, in college football is the playoff, the national championship, or the semifinal games leading into the national championship. And there's so many. There's 41 bowls total. So I mean, there's just so much you could get into as far as even the New Year's 6. But that'll be for a later time for sure. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. That brings me to the end of it. I hope you guys enjoy this new format that I'm going with it. For those that have been waiting patiently and stuck by my side and supported me and wanted me to get back to doing this. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad to be back doing this, and then going to be back on it, serious and put content out there more frequently, and not go on such a long hiatus this time. But like I said, thanks again. You guys know the routine. If there's anything that you want covered, or you have any concerns, going with this new video format and stuff makes it a lot easier, a lot quicker to be able to put and process material out there. In the future, I look maybe for a Q&A, a live Q&A, and also I'll take guests onto the show. I'm fine with that. We can talk shop all day and have a great time doing it. Just said again, thanks guys for the support. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Thumbs up and a like, and I will be back.